grew up in Miami, and my family's from Mexico City. I'm a dual national of the U.S. and Mexico. Uh, but I've been living in Texas for the past 5 years, doing my Ph.D. in social anthropology. My work is generally on issues of immigration to the U.S. As it concerns around issues of race, gender, and also looking at the state. Looking at the state through social services. So I'm looking at how social services become sort of the face of the state at home, and so what does that mean to Latino families here in Tuscaloosa as new communities start to settle? How do they interact with social services? What is expected of them from social services? And so how does a community see itself? And how does the state, through these agencies and through these social workers, see that community? And where do those two images, where do they come together, and where is there a lapse in that? To focus on immigration in the Deep South is particularly important because I think it pushes us to think about just how commonplace immigration is today and has been for a long time. So I think that at the national level, when we talk about immigration, we tend to conflate it to be something that is happening along the physical geopolitical boundary, or large cities such as Los Angeles, New York, Miami, where I'm from. And so to think about immigrants in the South, I think really hits home in terms of saying just how important of an issue this is. What does it mean to think about immigrants in a space that is has been so important in terms of the civil rights movement historically? And what does it mean to have a new face of people that aren't traditionally from here? And what is their impact? And so in terms of particularities, what does it mean to talk about race relations, for example, and then move that beyond black and white? What does it mean to talk about labor and talk about immigration as an issue within labor? So it's not that it's so particularly or drastically different, but rather that it's an important aspect to include. And even within talking about Latinos in the South, to talk about Latinos in the Deep South particularly is a new issue. So it's not, I don't think it's the fact that it's so drastically different, but rather to just include that within this larger issue. Yeah, it was my choice to focus. I happened to live here a few years back, and I was working as a Spanish-English interpreter. And working as a Spanish-English interpreter, I had a lot of issues and problems with what I saw, particularly with social services or social workers really not understanding the community that they were now servicing, and having a lot of really negative consequences because of that. So, for example, I met one family who I became really close friends with her, a mother whose kids were taken away because she was accused of neglect, because her older kids would take care of her younger kids while she was working. And these are issues that have been important because, for example, in that case, her being accused of bad mothering is something that is a problem, right? And it's something that African American families have had to suffer through in the South as well. I came to Alabama. I happened to live here and I worked here, and so when I went to grad school, I decided to come back here and I think it got to the point where I was always asked, like, well, why are you focusing on the South? Why would you want to go to Alabama? And I think it got to the point where I was like, well, why not? Why is it that this place is so unworth studying? It's both to people from outside of Alabama and ironically from people from here. I've gotten people saying, why would you want to come here? And I think that in and of itself is interesting.